So, welcome to another episode of the UK Karate Podcast. I'm Chris Walsh.
I'm Andy Patton.
And today we have Sensei Chrissie Howard. How are you doing, Sensei?
Yeah, very good, thank you. Very appreciated to be meeting you both today.
Yeah, lovely, absolutely lovely to meet you. And I was just dying to hear your, your karate story. So, before we start, whereabouts are you sort of like based now?
I'm living up pretty close to the Scottish border, so Northumberland.
Oh,
currently.
Yeah, it must be pretty picturesque around there.
It is incredibly beautiful. It captured me on my first visit, which is how I ended up here.
When was your first visit to Northumberland?
I did a little bit of a road trip for my 50th birthday. I was living in Devon at the time, and I went up the west coast into the Scottish Highlands and Islands, and I went across to the northeast to start making my way back down through the country. And I wanted to move to the Highlands and live in a cave straight away. My partner wanted a bit more civilization, so I was the one to compromise, and we ended up in Northumberland. So that was just over 2 years ago.
And I see you've just started a club up there.
Yeah, it took me a little while because when we first moved here, having sold our house, we left Devon with a loaded full of car and nowhere to live. So we basically landed in a holiday cottage for a month, found somewhere to rent, where we stayed for just over a year while I was renovating the house where we're currently living. So that broke me. I cried most days renovating this house. So once we were moved in and settled, I thought it's time to start planting some karate seeds again.
Yeah. Oh God, yeah. Refurbing up a house will certainly do that to you. Yeah. I swore I'd never move again the last time we moved, and still sticking pretty firm to that. So let's go back to the beginning then. Like when and where was the beginning of your karate journey?
Very early 80s. I can't remember what year exactly. I was 11, so that would be 73, 83, 84. And I was living in Torquay at the time. I was a chronically shy child. Wouldn't really leave the house to do much, and if I did, then I was pretty much making my own entertainment, playing by myself, really, really shy, disabling,ly so. But I loved martial arts films, and loved Bruce Lee. I had convinced myself that because he died in 1973, that possibly I was a little bit reincarnated from him, as he did.
Oh, excellent.
Or at least hoped that might be the case, but I never envisaged that I would do anything like that because it was completely outside of myself. And then somebody that was working for my parents at the time, his sister had started training, and I don't know if it was the karate lessons that were attractive to me or the fact that I got a lift in a Ford Capri.
Nice. Do you like a Ford Capri?
So she used to pick me up in this Ford Capri. I couldn't see over the dashboard, so I pretty much just used to look at the leather interior all the way there. And for the first few sessions, I think like a lot of shy people that start karate, I thought about going in but didn't go in. I hopped in and out, and then I went in and somebody said hello to me and I ran back out again. And that went on for weeks, where I would kind of dip my toe in and run away again. And then because I struggled to be around people as a kid, and sometimes as an adult, I realized that once I got into the dojo, we got in a lineup, I was pretty much by myself anyway, and I learned that it was a place that I could be around people without having to be with people.
Yeah, because you don't generally have to talk to anyone really, do you?
Exactly.
Either in the lineup.
Yeah, everybody just minded their own business. They're all focused on what they were doing. And I loved that space. I became very quickly addicted to that space of being able to be sociable, sort of, and then quickly hot-foot it out the dojo again. Once we'd stopped, we weren't having to talk to anybody again. And that went on for years. That whole kind of scenario went on for years. It took me quite a long time to embed myself into social activities.
And what was the association that this first club was that you were part
At the
of?
time, it was SKI, Spirit Clan Karate International, under Asano.
Yeah.
And then I think I might have graded with Asano up to about purple belt, and then there was a split. Aidan Trimble was Asano's student, obviously, so it's Aidan Trimble, and he broke away from the SKI and formed the FSK. So then the FSK formed possibly the next 10 years or so of my karate journey.
And who was your first instructor?
I don't name him by name.
Okay.
There were some difficulties for me with that person as a younger person, so for legal reasons, for whatever reason, it was a talkie dojo that I was training at, but
Right.
I'd rather not.
Yeah.
Kind of.
No, fully respect that.
It's hard to pass the name across my lips. Let's just put it that way.
Okay. So when obviously as a shy kid, did you feel that karate it fit you like the kata and the kumite sort of you like both because a lot of the times people generally will specialize or prefer specialize or prefer like one over the other. Did you like both? Did you like both, or did you find yourself leaning towards one or the other? Really.
Aidan was a kumite man.
Yeah.
So obviously he loved people that could do kumite. So I was rubbish at it. I was better at kata, and that's where I kind of developed my foundation really in karate. Again, it was something I could take away from the dojo and rehearse by myself, and I'd spend hours and days and all sorts of stuff just practicing kata. But I wanted to impress the big man, so I tried my hardest to do just that, and it took me a lot of years to start showing any reward from kumite. Kata, because I practiced so much, I got quite good at, but kumite took a lot more. But also because of my little confidence, I always just assumed that everybody was better than me, and I was never going to be as good as that next person. So perhaps I didn't go as hard into kumite as I could have now with this 52-year-old brain that knows better. It could be a little bit different.
Well, I mean, I guess as well as when I can relate, like saying even as a shy kid, I mean, like, I think the kumite it doesn't always, or even the kata, like it doesn't always come like natural, but especially like the kumite and that threat of like people getting getting either punched, kicked anywhere around the head or the body, especially like as a shy child, I can imagine that really being like pushing you out your comfort zone big time.
But it was the shame and humiliation that went with it. Probably nobody else thought it or saw it, but for me, if I wasn't performing, if I wasn't pleasing people or doing well at something, it felt quite shameful. So yeah, I mean, it all changed later on. I would say now, because of some different types of work experience, I've worked in the police and the prison service, it turned my ability to do kumite on its head.
Yeah.
Because I became, I think the Japanese word is kimura, decisive, to decide. I became way more decided, and I took the fight to the person, because that is now what happened to me as a prison officer, for example.
Yes.
Yeah.
I had to take the fight for the person. I couldn't wait for them to put their hands on me, so we had to initiate it really and be quite instinctive of when it was going to happen.
Yeah, trying to read the body language.
Yeah, and it was. I had some difficult moments in the prison service, but for my karate, it developed me enormously and it rewarded me enormously because it gave me hands-on experience that I couldn't buy in the dojo. I mean, you can put me in any dojo. I mean, the worst kind of the most real experience I've had in a dojo is when I was lucky enough to go on one of Scott Langley Sensei's Japan trips, and we were training under a guy called Onaga in Okinawa, and I think he wanted us to kill each other because we were battered, we were absolutely hurting all over. It was towards the end of the trip. And I think in the end, Scott Sensei stepped in and said, I think we've done enough. Can we do some kata now? But the only other place I've experienced that level of realism is when you're in a police station and somebody's kicking off, or when you're in a prison and the whole wing's kicking off.
Yeah.
And that level of desperation to survive, it can't be bought. I don't think it can be replicated in a dojo, on a tatami, in a competition. The level of threat isn't there in the same way.
It's like you say. I mean, it's a hard, like, well, I say a hard thing to teach. I mean, I know from myself, like with teaching youngsters and adults, is you can see the ones that are finding that trying to find the instinct or the bottle, we'd call like the bottle to get stuck in or take the fight, take the fight to someone. And I mean, I've always found that sort of like the old-fashioned lineups are always really great for that, because you're just applying like that pressure, albeit just for a very short period of time for from the first person in the line to the other. Well, it depends how big the line is, I guess. But I don't know. Like I've always said, you can't teach that. Like you say, like until you if you're in the prison service, then your back's up against the wall and you think, well, it's like fight or flight, isn't it? You've got to make that conscious decision to get stuck in.
And I guess you can get close to it because our brain is a curious thing. It doesn't necessarily know what's real and what's not real. It's like if you watch a horror film, a really bad one, and it scares the pants off of you. It's because your brain thinks that thing is happening and it's real because you're observing it. So I think if you've got good partners and people that train hard together, you can get close to that level of realism. But there isn't anything like the real thing.
It's kind of like you or them, isn't it? That
Absolutely.
sort of situation.
And do you think obviously like doing again kumite in the dojo and in competition, that like when if you're sparring like you're sparring someone and you're trying to look for like those little tells, obviously, that they're going to move, they're going to like try and initiate the attack. Do you feel like that really helped you in those situations? I did this really awful thing when I was competing. I found it difficult not to think about what the person was doing when I was a more amateur karateka. As you get more instinctive and you can just kind of be in the moment and not think about that person, and your brain over years has calculated all these moving objects. You're a bit like a T-Rex at this stage, your movement orientated, so you're waiting for something, and possibly in a mindful state you might not see it because that element of thought creates a barrier, it creates a fail in your reaction. But if you are just in it, if you can find some sort of flow state where you're not thinking too much and you're just acting instinctively, then for sure. And I think that comes from rehearsal too in karate, not just experience of real life fighting stuff, but just constant. You have to be a good fighter, you have to fight. And you have to fight anywhere. With your mates in the pub, you have to fight in the dojo, on the tatami, in the competition. You have to just keep doing it so your brain can keep observing and keep receiving and keep rehearsing defense after defense after defense. Because the analogy I often use in the dojo when I'm teaching is I can throw a punch at somebody and they let me land it on their face. If I had a spider in my hand and I threw it, they're likely to block it instantly. That's a good analogy.
Yeah.
Elements there, there's enough fear I must have let that touch my face, but I'll let you hit me.
Yeah, doesn't quite add up that one, does it? So how old were you when you sort of first entered like your first karate competition?
It was ridiculous. I've been training 2 weeks, and I had no idea what I was doing. At the time, there was no boy-girl split. So if you were a girl wanting to fight in a competition, you had to go up against boys. And I had to put a yellow belt on because the minimum grade was a yellow belt, and I've been training 2 weeks. So I faked being a yellow belt and got battered. Because there was these young lads, and let's just face it, it's in 1984, so it was different times. These boys were not going to be beaten by a girl. We're just going to knock them out.
Oh god.
Oh, yeah. How did you do in that competition?
Terrible, Andy. I probably should never have turned up, but it was just. I think very, you know what it's like. Very young in your karate days, you get told to do something, you do it.
Yeah.
Did it deter you? Did it deter you from wanting to compete again for a while, or?
I will just say I never enjoyed competing.
Right.
It was just something. Again, I'll go back. We had Aidan as our senior instructor, head of our association, and he was a competition man, so it was kind of just expected. Everybody in our dojo competed. There was no choice really in the matter. If you wanted to be up there with the gang, then you just got on and did it. I hated it. So the competition did deter me. I just didn't like having to perform in front of people, but I just did it.
No, I can totally relate to that.
Yeah,
which is funny. Like I can relate to it. Like say, like I hate getting up to perform kata. Like I always have done since a child. I don't know why. It's probably because my kata is probably awful. Probably I don't like. but I've never, other than being a child, I can relate. Like I didn't like doing kumite probably till I was like 17, 18, and like you were saying about. Having to get stuck in. I probably just didn't like fighting or violence in any form. And then something as like a trick, like a switch had just gone at 17, 18. And it was like, I'm not going to be pushed around anymore. This is it. I'm going for it. So it was very strange. That didn't mind getting on the mat and being judged or watched by anyone in that sense. Never really felt like you're just in the zone. You're not really paying attention, are you? When you're there, when you're fighting really. But then there's just that something about when you're doing kata, I don't know, it just felt like the spotlight was on you big time.
Yeah. And I don't think we had the same kind of coaching, instruction and observation of all of the whole growth system then as what we do now. If somebody had said to me, the first 10 years of your karate life, you're probably just going to get beaten up all the time. You're probably going to lose every competition you enter because this is the way it goes. There'll be people 10 years ahead of you in their karate, and they're going to be better than you until you get as good as them as or better. And I think it would have been less harmful. You think, God, here I go again. To go up to Crystal Palace and compete against Molly Samuels. She would destroy me every single time, and I've had some quite significant injuries from those competitions because they were just amazing, but they were so far ahead of me. I think it would have helped somebody to say, do you know what, Chrissie, they've been training 15 years longer than you. They're older, they're more experienced.
Yeah, just to give you
have some fun. Learn your trade because that's what you're doing when you're on the mat. And just take it on the chin, but you'll get there eventually.
Yeah, just give it just.
How I do it now.
Yeah, just try and give it that like different perspective, like that again, like I used to say, like just give it like a different perspective, that like you can get your head wrapped around it. It's we've had it with some of the juniors that we've coached in the past, and they're doing, they're starting to do all right now, but it's this thing. Look, we didn't win any like medals or anything like that for years, like it's and you're like, we're talking years, like the really lucky ones might just get it and they'll be there like in and around the medal placements, all the time. But there's again very few and far between.
And now they get them just for turning up to train.
Oh yeah, well yeah, let's not go there, right? Okay. While we're on that subject, how do you feel about that?
Yeah.
Well, of course, again, I'm in a different mindset. I, I've got a rescue dog, and I liken her to a lot of stuff. She's a mess. She comes from a very difficult background, and I've had to only do reward-based training with her. No hard discipline and all stuff like that. And the training I've had to train her, I can see that the psychology between dogs and humans isn't that far apart, really. And I think it's the absolute right thing to do. It should be reward-based training. It should be fun for kids. When I look back, I wear a bit of a badge of honour. When I look back to the early 80s when I was training and there was some really hard sort of stuff going on, I'm quite proud that I got through it, because my passivity and my personality and my nature suggests that I shouldn't have, and I perhaps should have given up and stopped trying. But it might have been a bit more fun.
A bit more enjoyable.
Yeah. Well, this is the thing nowadays you find, like with kids as well, that you've got to try and make it more fun. Like, because I think there's just that many different martial arts or like activities for kids to do these days. I don't know, maybe that's just the way kids are like conditioned a bit now. I don't know. Like, it does need to be more fun.
I think they're more hungry, because they have so much more on the menu, don't they? The menu's way more vast. When I was growing up, I had karate. There wasn't much else going on where I lived. But not only that, my parents didn't have money to send me here, there, and everywhere. And in fact, I didn't pay for a lot of my training because I did jobs for my instructor and his wife and looked after their children, and that's how I kind of paid for my karate all those years ago.
And how much was a karate session when you first started?
I think it was 75 pence when I first started.
Oh
wow.
Bargain.
Yeah.
It was a bit of a shock when it went up to £1.25.
Oh.
Yeah, it's amazing. You think like you do. You think really like what it was then, or I mean even now. I mean when I came back to training, it was, I don't know, £3.50, like £4 or something like that. And I think most places now, if it's like pay as you go, tends to be in and around the £5 mark. But I think like still what you can, if parents can take their kid karate training for, £5, I think it's it's pretty reasonable.
It's all relative. When I left school, I was doing a YTS and I got £21.75 a week. So paying £2.50 at £1.25 per session when I was training 6-7 days a week.
Yeah, well, starts eating into some of that. But when you'd started, or sort of like in those early days of your training or early years of your training, what was the sort of like split in the dojo regarding like male females? I imagine it was pretty like male dominated.
99%, I'd say.
Yeah.
Yeah. When I very first joined, there was a woman called Liz Trott, who was a second dan, I think. And it was only her and the instructor's wife that were training, the females training the dojo at the time, I think, that were of a senior grade. And I think I instantly aspired to be like Liz. She had just come back from Dusseldorf. She'd come third in the World Championships in a men's event.
Wow.
Because there was no women to fight her.
Wow.
And she was a skinny little thing, 1990s perm, pretty much like I had, 1980s perm, looked like Kevin Keegan. And,
my mother also sported one of those perms.
and she fought really, really well in the dojo, and I was just so impressed with her, because I don't think at that age, well, I would have been 11 or something at the time, I don't think I'd seen a woman do that type of thing. Women were my mum, who stayed at home and looked at children and cooked and didn't do things like that. It must be
And what
must
did
be
you?
so inspiring for young girls today to see football as a
Oh
rugby
yeah,
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 definitely.
definitely. I mean, it is good to even see, even before. Obviously, we were with the JK before, and we've moved to the HDKI. But it's really good to see the JK and the HDKI, like how many women are now, training.
Yeah,
I remember sort of like the sort of very late 80s and the 90s, even at my father's club, and even knew it. There was a good there was an half decent representation of women in Newark and Grantham, but still, yeah, not maybe
Could have been
like
more.
maybe 98 to 99%, yeah, male still.
Yeah.
I was thinking back there just to, so like, you're saying how shy you were when you first started. Was there a particular sort of age that you really felt like that, that shyness barrier might have started to just like melt down a little bit?
I genuinely think it took me until 86, was it? Yeah, when I got my downgrade, I think I was 15, and that just seemed to come with a magic power.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was just going to say, when you said like you downgrade, yeah, it was like shoulders, head back, shoulders back, and just gave you that, like that confidence.
Well, I just think there was in dojos, maybe it wasn't intentional, but there was definitely the split when you're in the lineup and you're at this end, the beginner end, and
Yeah.
up this end you've got all the downgrades. That's where you want to get to.
Oh
Yeah.
You look up there like they are some sort of warrior kings and queens, and you think that's where I want to get a go. But I do remember that there was a kind of before class, all the brown and black belts got together and they had a chat, and it was almost like an invisible force where you didn't dare go near that end of the dojo.
Yeah.
But I think a difference as well is if you're good, people engage with you.
Yeah.
You show some level of passion, then people engage with you.
Well, yeah, I try and tell like the juniors now. I mean, especially moving, changing clubs and everything like that, and affiliations. We've had like a student just pass the first queue just recently, a young girl, and I says technically, you're not a million miles away. I says, but it's all going to come down. It's going to come down to how you've got to start believing that you are, a showdown. Pretty much, you've got to make everyone else start to look and think, oh yeah, they're ready.
Yeah.
They're ready. It's all. There's a lot of the next step is going to be like mindset that to start believing it.
Yeah, for sure, and that just comes from rehearsal. When I talk about rehearsal, I mean train hard, and not just repetitions, but good repetitions.
Yeah.
And people I used to get a little bit upset as a kid because people used to say, "Oh, you're natural," and I thought, I'm training 6 times harder than everybody else.
Yeah.
The people that are coming once or twice a week, I'm superseding that by not just hours in the dojo, but my ability to be that disciplined at that young age to train by myself as well. So it's just training.
Did you do like, other than obviously the training in the dojo, say like leading up to your showdown, or even before then, did you do any sort of other supplementary training like running or anything like that?
Well, in the 80s and 90s we were all bodybuilding mad, and we loved weight training. We did lots of weight training, lots of running, a little bit more latterly, so post downgrade really into when I started competing at a much greater level. I even went to boxing clubs.
Oh, nice.
And trained. I still love their training regime. Some of the fittest athletes, I think. Just running, fighting hard, and it was really hard for me in the boxing training because I quite often used to kick people in the head because I couldn't not kick. And the boxers didn't see it coming. They were just looking at my hand.
No, now you've said that. I mean, I think boxing training is great supplementary training, like with the karate as well. Like personally, I like when I was competing a lot. I went to see a friend of mine he's actually got a boxing stroke kickboxing gym in town. And I was like, look, I just want you to, can you like just put me through some paces, whatever you think. I said, I just cardio wise, hand speed, footwork, and it was, there's a lot of resistance band training going on, which was absolutely awful. I definitely accredit that to going to do that for, say, getting as far as I did, like in a particular like competition, and I would definitely recommend sort of like boxing and kickboxing training for.
I think had it been a thing when I was younger, I probably would have done more boxing because I just loved it.
Yeah.
I was born with a work ethic, and the training was just so disciplined and so regimented and so hard. I would have loved it, and that's probably why karate kept me for as long as it has, because I just love hard work.
Yeah. And it's like that. Well, trying to keep that beginner's mindset and always looking to improve.
I just don't think we're anything other than beginners, to be honest.
Yeah.
I think that about life in general. I'm 52 years old and stuff still catches me out, or I behave in a way where I think, oh God, I know better than that. I'm still not learning. I'm 52 and I know nothing.
Every day is a school day, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's I seem to constantly say that at work, to be honest. It's quite humbling, to be fair, because I think like in karate sometimes you can see some of these other fellow instructors that might be, a bit further up the flagpole, do we say? And I think sometimes they, I don't know, is it like rest on their laurels a little bit, that they are maybe fourth, fifth dans, maybe upwards, And I think I've noticed now that I think it's, again, they've lost that beginner's mindset, and it's one thing that I've really tried to embrace lately, is just like anything I approach, just have that beginner's mindset. Give me the information, I want to learn it all. And I think that's some instructors that I've met, I feel like they've probably lost that.
I think society teaches us now that we can't stand still. I think perhaps in times gone by we could get to a standard in karate, and that might have been good enough. But now we're growing all of the time. Our computers, our AI technology, it's just growing at a rate of knots. And alongside that, so must the karateka, because like we've already mentioned, to evolve and to keep people interested, we have to be more than that Kyakuzuki.
Yeah,
people,
definitely.
People aren't interested. Yeah. People won't stand in front of you anymore if you say punch like this. They're like, why?
Yeah. Or if it's the classic, 4 or 5 step Oizuki Chudans up the dojo, or the same with the Agyukis. Yes, we need to learn them, but does it need to be in that that old monotonous way that we've probably all all experienced?
Becomes boring.
I think instructors have got a much harder job now, because you have to be so much more creative to keep the interest and to keep your student base. You've got to be more interesting. You can't just stand in front of people and shout and sometimes spit in their face anymore because you're shouting so loud. Because quite frankly, now I would walk out of your dojo. 40 years ago, I would have probably just stood there and took it. But we as a species have evolved so massively. We can't get away with it anymore. It's a cheap shot. I think you've got intelligent comedians, and you've got those that just reel off the kind of mind-numbingly battering stuff, and it's cheap comedy, I think. And I think it's the same with karate. You've got really intelligent instructors that are learning not just about karate, but how the body moves and how to preserve our bodies and to create longevity into our training. And those are the people that we're looking towards now. We're not looking at the
Yeah,
cheap.
I think the Karate Kid, from the 80s, and certainly Cobra Kai now, I've got a lot to answer for as well with kids' expectations of when they walk in the dojo.
Well, I'm furious about the latest one because when I was teaching last Friday, all the kids wanted to do was a tornado kick, and it was really hard work trying to say, no, just do Oizuki.
Yeah. Honestly, you will hurt them more with this. You will hurt them more with this. I haven't seen the latest one yet, I need to. I do need to get to the cinema.
But I did come home and watch the kick on YouTube just to see all the fuss.
Bit of homework tonight.
Yeah, we'll have to definitely check that out. So, obviously when you sent your notes, some of your notes over to us, I saw that you entered a taekwondo competition as well.
Yeah, again, I'd only just started taekwondo and I put on a fake yellow belt to be able to enter the competition. So it's happened twice in my martial arts career. And when I first moved area, my partner had just graduated from university, so we moved to where the work was, and there was no karate clubs anywhere near me. So all that was available was a taekwondo school. So I went, and I actually quite liked it.
Was it easy to adapt?
It served me well.
Yes. How did you find that? Because again, I don't know a lot about like taekwondo. I just gather that they're very kick orientated.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a lot looser and freer to the karate I was doing at the time, because my karate was what I would term as old fashioned then, and actually. When I started training with Scott Sensei, seeing how much freer and more relaxed he is in his karate and more fluidity.
Oh, it's unreal, isn't it?
Yeah, there were some similarities really, because it was lighter, and because at the time my karate was so hard and so strong, I felt like I was doing rubbish karate when I did taekwondo. It felt like I was doing karate with no effort.
Right.
And just coasting through it. So I found it quite easy to do. And I've always been quite good with my kicks and stuff. So it was quite enjoyable. But also I got to do some great stuff with that taekwondo school. They were really into doing self-defense. They were into doing bow staff training, tonfa training, all stuff I hadn't touched on before.
Yeah, no, I've never done any of that. Yeah.
No.
We did some amazing self-defense courses, and it was pretty much this guy turned up in like a spacesuit, and we could smash him as hard as we liked.
Oh, wow.
And we did some real stuff, like real street stuff, where he'd come and try and grab your bag off you, and we just got to batter him. And at that point in my life, I hadn't really hit anybody like that before, so it felt really good to feel an effective. A
bit freeing, just like.
I'd hit bags and I'd hit pads, but people move when you hit them, when you really hit them. So your target's not just this rigid bag for the sand in front of you that sways just a little bit. It's a thing that you have to follow around and move, and it bends and it comes back and it will try and hit you again and all those sorts of things. So I really enjoyed that. I really found that effective. And like, again, the guy that was doing that, he was a bit of a nutcase, so it was pretty real. It was pretty real. He was going to pin you to the floor and wrap you up if he could.
Do you feel like, obviously, along your karate journey, I know you said like you was training with Aidan Trimble Sensei. Like, did you sort of see like Aidan as like a mentor, or was there more like someone in the dojo that you maybe became sort of, friends with, and was more of a mentor to you? Or do you feel like like you say, you're just training that hard and, that many days a week, it was really just the hard graft?
Yeah, back then, I think the one wish I had for myself, certainly is like in between the ages of 15 and 17, I wish somebody had kind of scooped me up and taken me away and helped me become something much bigger than I ended up being, because I had the ability, I had the work ethic, I lacked the direction.
Right.
And I've always lacked direction in my life. You know, I went to school with people that knew exactly what they were going to be doing when they left school, how many children they were going to be
They're
having.
really annoying,
And I
those
just
people,
had
aren't
not
they?
a Scooby.
Like,
Planned everything.
I had not a Scooby. So I think it would have been helpful. The one thing I wanted to do when I was at school is I wanted to join the army. And again, because of the time in space we were in, we had a work experience day, and my teacher come up to me. He said, "Oh, what do you want to do?" I said, "I want to join the army. I want to go and see the army's careers people." And he said, "Don't be so ridiculous. That's not what young ladies do. Go over and speak to the people in the secretarial college."
oh, for goodness
So,
sake.
you know, kind of that was crushed at that point. But
What do you know, like in the forces, like did you have at that time, did you have anything in mind, like a particular direction that you would have liked to have gone if you could have gone in the forces?
well, I nearly did. I nearly did go in. I came so close. I'm not an academic. I failed miserably at school. Again, socially as a child, it really impacted my growth in many ways. And I didn't go to school much, but I had this dream to go into the army. So I eventually got to the Army Careers Office, and they basically said, "You need to go away and get back to school and get some qualifications, because we're not really interested until that point." And I don't know where, but I found the strength at the time, and I said, "Look, just let me do the test. Let me do the test and we'll see where we go." And I talked them into letting me do the test. And they came back out and they said, "You've scored one of the highest scores we've had in the country this year. Basically, you can do any job you want." And they said, given the scores you've got, these are the three you recommend. And it was the bomb disposal squad, it was the intelligence corps, and it was a combat medical technician, so a frontline medic, effectively. The three most dangerous jobs in the army. They're the ones they gave me.
Oh, wow.
So I said, "I want to do an intelligence corps." And they got me ready for it. They said, "Well, we're just be honest with you, it's mostly university graduates that get on those courses."
Of course it is,
But what I know about the army is they love sports people. You know, they're wrapped up because you can compete for the army and all this, that, and the other. So they sent me off to Ashford in Kent, and I did all the exams over 3 days, and they offered me the job as a intelligence officer. And I was just overjoyed, but you know, thinking that I've got no qualifications, I've pretty much dropped out of school after 13, I've done nothing, I've got karate behind me. And then it came down to a choice between going to Los Angeles to compete,
Right, yeah.
or that's when you join up,
When you
like
join
around
up.
that sort of time. And my parents were dead set against me joining the army anyway. My mum really didn't want me to go. And there was a bit of emotional blackmail from my parents as well, sadly. But it's something I really wanted to do. But at the time, also all I really wanted to do was karate. So I went to Los Angeles.
And that was the World Championships, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's an international. I call them international events. I tell you why, because and no disrespect to anybody else, but this is for me personally, my view. There are so many world championships.
Yeah.
For me, if I won the world championships, it's because I would be the best in the world on that day.
Yes.
Yeah.
But it's not the case. There's lots of people that just weren't there at that event on the day. And I've got quite a literal mind, so I think Aidan had a bit of a go at me in Los Angeles because I must have appeared quite miserable after the event, and it's because my brain was working. Like, you got a gold medal and a silver medal on that day. You should be a little bit cheery about it. But in my head, I couldn't say it out loud to him because he was God at the time. But in my head, I'm like, but I haven't, because the people didn't turn up on the day. So I was having this kind of recent response.
It's funny. I can absolutely 100% relate to like what you're saying. It was like when when I came back to karate and got my shodan, was lucky enough to like compete for JK England and stuff, and anytime I competed, I think especially like being because like doing karate as a child and coming up through the sort of late 80s and early 90s, and I not competing but going away like with my father and all the other black belts that I looked up to from the club. I mean, again, that you're going away with them, I remember seeing like all these like big names from like from the KUGB days, and like all these massive names of people that just I thought were, and still think they were absolutely incredible, and then so like when I start to compete, I just looked at everybody and thought, I don't think that, even though I would get beat, like no problem, but I would always just look and go, I don't think any of these people are anywhere near as good as like those people that I watched like years ago. And I don't know, like it could be like imposter syndrome or something. I don't know, but I can totally relate to what you're saying. And I always just thought, is it just me, or like even if I got like came third or second, or just recently in a local thing getting a gold medal, and I was like, I couldn't have given a monkey's. Like it was just like, it was just like, I don't care. Like and even some of my friends like in the karate, I was like, I'd tell them, and like it's like, I didn't care if I get like win a medal, and if I got a medal, it's just I looked at it as I was just testing myself. That was it. Like, can I get up there on the mat and do whatever? And they just look at me again. You're lying. You must have wanted a medal. I was like, honestly, I don't care.
Yeah.
Like,
it's just another day at the office, isn't it?
Yeah.
Just another training session.
Yeah.
Another opportunity to learn and to take some experience, I think.
Yeah,
That's how
definitely.
I look at it now, my older brain on.
Yeah. And it's I think we had Sensei John when we had Sensei John Gardner on. I mean, I can't remember if he said it on the podcast or if it was like off camera, but he said to me, he says, "Oh, if you win a European Championship, or if you win a World Championship, like ultimately after that year or that day," he says, like, who actually gives a monkeys? It's not really gonna like it's not. There's no money in the karate game in that sense. It's not going to change like your life or anything like overnight. What like winning the lottery or the Euro lottery or something might financially like change your life, but in the grand scheme of things of winning that gold medal or that it's not really gonna change much.
It's just a medal.
It means different things to different people for different reasons, and that's okay. I mean, but I got my competition kind of excitement as I started to get better at it and enjoy it a little bit. It got ruined for me because, I mean, you wrote in the write-up for this on social media about me being the 8 times FSK champion, and people disliked me for it. I thought
they disliked you for it.
I started to win, and I thought, oh, I'm doing something good now. I'm achieving something. I'm doing something good now. And then I can remember somebody's parent coming up to me, one of my competitors, and she was really cross with me, and she said something like, and it wasn't, it might have only been 3 or 4 consecutive years at this point. She's like, when are you going to let somebody else have a go?
Oh, wow.
Really angry with me.
Really?
Yeah, like when they're good enough and they beat me, like, yeah.
There's always next year.
I'm sorry that I'm obviously putting more effort in,
Well, it's just the other thing, all the people I often used to compete alongside in local or national or organisational competitions, I knew I was one of the ones training the hardest. So.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if you'd seen it, but I saw it like we had a young previously had a young student going for the black belt, and we'd done like pre-grading things and just trying to say, look, I think it's touch and go. If you want to go for it, you can go for it, but we really think you need to work, on this area and everything like that. And it was, I don't know if it was a mixture of like if we find and then lo and behold, this student failed on what what we said, and the parents were like, oh, it's terrible. It's the first thing that they've ever failed at, and it was like, well, welcome to life. You know, there is the lesson. You know, like, and I think I don't know. I think kids probably struggle to see it, but it's certainly. Certainly something that I, you know, as I've got older, I've tended to see more as like all these little life lessons, you know, in karate, like win or lose, you know, like and failing time and time again, and you know, winning, and just the highs, the lows. There's so many, you know, working hard for stuff, you know, like there's so many life lessons like in there, but you're trying to get the kids to see that sometimes is
the tornado kick is a good example of that. So last week when they were saying, I want you to tornado kick, I'm like, I want some currency first.
yeah.
And then you can have the reward of your tornado kick.
Yeah.
Give me some punches, and then you can have the tornado kick.
Yeah.
In exchange.
Good old barter system there, Sensei. I like it. So, you know, you've described to me sort of like on the phone and with some of the stuff you sent, like about you know, you've been quite, you know, quite nomadic, or a bit of a ronin, like with your, you know, with your karate. So sort of like when you'd trained with Sensei Trimble, you know, where did you go? You know, whereabouts has your karate, you know, nomadicness taken you?
Yeah, so I left the FSK over the situation with my previous instructor. I just wanted to flee that whole kind of mess, and I moved from South Devon into Plymouth at the time, and that's where a CQ club was training. You probably know Paul Yuren Sensei.
Yeah.
He was a student there at the club at the time. This is going back some years now, and I trained at that club for quite some time. And then when I left Plymouth, that's when I did taekwondo for a little while, and then I knocked about some KUGB clubs while I was in the police and the prison service, because my training took a bit of a hit while I was doing those jobs, because of shift work and just not having the time, space and energy a lot of the time. So trained as and when I could.
Did you find that great? Did you find that sort of like grated at you, you know, like a little bit in the back of your mind, you know, because you wasn't getting to training, or, you know, the workload was just that much and you didn't?
Yes and no, because I got to fight nearly every day in the prison. You know, sometimes I'd start at 7 a.m. and by 7:30 I'm rolling around on the floor. So it was different. I was still doing karate. I always think that whenever you're doing a cell removal, or, you know, there's a riot on a wing, or a hostage situation, or cell fires, you're deploying the skills that you learn from karate all of the time. And then I got unwell, actually, mentally, as my prison service career came to an end. There was a number of things that happened, and I had a massive breakdown. So I then had 2 years of being really unwell and just living in nothing other than what I can describe as darkness. And it took me a long time, and I was having a lot of help, a lot of medication, and I was with a psychiatrist and a psychologist, and I think it was a psychologist that started to speak to me about stuff. And I must have just been coming through whatever it was I was coming through, because I hadn't really heard much of what anybody was saying to me for quite a while. And he started to talk to me about karate. And I can remember looking at him, and it's probably the first time I looked at him in all of those sessions, to be honest, because I was just looking down at the ground all the time in quite a numb state. And he looked at me and he said, well, you know, you could do karate again. And I looked at him like he was mad, like he was the mad one, not me. and he said, or not, because it's such a pointless thing to do. I got a bit pissed off.
Do you reckon he just dangled that little bit out there just to
reverse psychology?
He did the psychology degree for a reason. And I just looked at him, and then I found a KGB club, and it was quite a small little club, not too close far away from me. And I went and trained, and I can't tell you how sick I felt that night, just getting out of the house, putting my gear on, getting out of the house, and going to that session. But karate did what it always does. It just went like that, and I lost myself in everything that is beautiful about karate.
Yeah.
And I switched off, and I was just free flowing in this world of karate. And I got in my car afterwards, and I broke my heart. I sobbed, because not with sadness, but with gladness.
Yeah.
You know, just the thing that penetrated me so much that evening was feeling the wood under my feet. That was the thing I remember most about that night, just feeling the wood under my feet, and how amazing that I felt, and how much I'd missed that. And it was that training session that kind of started to lift me again. And it was within weeks of that I decided, you know what, I need to be off this medication, because the medication had numbed me, because I was very unwell, you know, sort of thinking end of life stuff and all of those sorts of horrible things that go with ill mental health. And so that numbed me, that stopped me feeling anything. And I come home from that karate session and sat on the sofa. I had my dog here, and I had my partner over there, and the TV was on, and it was quite a sad advert that was on for the TV. And I looked at it and I thought, there's my dog and there's my partner. I love both of them. That thing I just watched, that's quite sad, but I don't feel any of it.
Yeah.
So I thought, and then I thought, you know, I just had this amazing experience at the karate session. It wasn't even a great, you know, it wasn't a great session. It was just what it was all about.
Yeah.
Really.
It was just what you needed.
Yeah.
It was pivotal.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was exactly what I needed. But it was timely. Any time before that would have been too soon. And it was then that the healing could start, really.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for opening up to us about it's something that, like, again, I still think, you know, there's a maybe I think it's not the stigmatism to do with like mental health. You know, people are talking about it, you know, a lot more, and you know, I think it's, you know, I think there's probably like a lot of issues that get worked out in the dojo for, you know, a lot of people. It is that escape, you know, from the pressures.
The world stops. When you're training, the world stops.
It's escapism,
You know,
isn't it?
Somebody used to come into my dojo and they'd had an argument with their wife before they got there, and they'd say, oh, I don't know if I'm going to train tonight, I feel really rubbish. Just get your gear on.
Yeah. Just for that few moments, just escaping from whatever else is happening in your life.
I mean, obviously, you know, you touched on about, you know, the bad experience you had, like with the club and this certain instructor. I mean, did at any time did you feel like sort of with that experience that you felt like, you know, you'd you know, because obviously like the karate got you out of that state, you know, that darkness. You know, did you ever feel that like you might not want to do karate, you know, from the previous, you know, thing?
Yeah, so people don't understand, I don't think, unless you've been through something like that. I love karate. I love training karate. But alongside my karate, there's this experience that really tainted it. So I've always been chasing the love for karate with that rubbing alongside of it, really. So I love and hate it. And it's not karate's fault that happened. It's merged into. But then that is the story of life, right? We love and we lose, and we give and we receive, and we lose again. And so, you know, karate, like you say, is life lessons. It genuinely is, because I don't hate life, because there's been lots of bad things that have happened. So nor should I hate karate, because there's been some bad things.
No, I can, again, it's like you're saying things that are like totally been floating around my mind. You know, is I can totally, you know, get on board, you know, with everything that you're saying there. It's from someone that's.
And I only talk so openly about it because I think sometimes when people look at their instructor, or they look up at these champions in karate, they think they're not suffering too. The fact that you take breath on the day that you're born means that you're going to suffer at some stage in your life.
Yeah.
And, you know, we do talk about ill mental health, and it sometimes carries a stigma, but I'm not entirely sure why, because my grandfather that came home from World War II had PTSD, and, you know, it was alive then, and I only think of him as a hero. You know, he survived something like that. I and other people, and you, I don't know, have survived worse things too. And, you know, for that, you're heroic. You're not labeled with a bad. And your brain can only take so much. It's like a petrol tank. If you hold the nozzle in your tank, it's only going to take too much before it starts overflowing.
Yeah.
And your brain is exactly the same. Information, trauma, damage. It says stop one day when it's had enough.
Yeah, definitely.
A professional that I spoke to one time was just saying that, you know, you build, you know, your mind will build up the you know, the barriers, and you know, it'll start these issues or whatever's troubling you will be knocking at the door, and you'll ignore it and push it down, and you know, ignore it. Then it'll knock a bit louder, and then you know, you'll do what you've always done and ignore it and try and just carry on. And then it'll kick the door in, and then you've gotten absolutely no other choice but to face it.
Yeah, definitely.
And the single event that leads you to a breakdown has been a result of many events.
Yeah. It's very rarely, I'm sure, that it will just be one.
Because we're more resilient than that, you know. We can get through one or two events, but when it's 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, then
sort of knocks you down to the point you can't get back up.
Well,
to a slight degree.
The beauty of it is that people can get up. They've just got to see it and just got to find that way. Like, the person that you spoke to was meant to just prod that bit there, that, you know, just to light that fuse. And
but it's about timing, you know. It's like when you lose somebody, sit down and cry about it.
Let
yourself grieve. Let it happen to you, and you'll wash it through your system way quicker than if you decide to ignore it.
There isn't. I think you've hit the nail on the head there. A lot of people, again, will try and hold that down, and like you say, like, if you've got to cry, like, again, if it's a loss of something or whatever that is really upsetting you, if your body or mind or whatever is telling you to cry, just scream at something or whatever it may be, do it.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah,
let it out.
Whatever's your medicine, use it.
It's had a good friend of mine, very good friend, and you know, it was when stuff was bothering me. I was, you know, it's like, you know, this is someone who lives in a completely different time zone. It's always like difficult to speak, you know, but, you know, got on and was like, right, what's going on? And, you know, I could, you know, you can't speak. And he's like, just let it out. I was like, no. You know, and then it was just a sort of stern look over a video, you know, over a video chat like this, and it was like, okay, and then it's gone. And since that day here now, I've not heard anyone other than you say that, and it's so true. It is absolutely so true.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
But well, moving on from some of that dark stuff,
So I left. I was training with the KGB. That's where we got to.
It was.
Yeah.
That's who lifted me out, really. And then I hadn't seen Paul Uren for a number of years, and they got.
And can we say just a thoroughly nice chap as well, Paul is.
I love Paul. Yeah, not in a wrong way, but he's a super nice guy. He was part of the WTKO at the time, as was Scott Sensei and that whole group. And they got Rick Cotton over from America, and a friend of mine in the KGB actually saw it advertised. I didn't see it, and said, "You fancy going to this course?" And again, it was a pivotal moment, really. I hadn't actually trained with anybody as modern as Rick Sensei at that point in my karate life, and fell in love with his karate instantly. and so thought this is the trajectory I want my karate to go to now. I don't want these stiff, hard, lumpy blocks and shapes anymore. I want it to evolve into the future. So I joined the WTKO for a day, talking about nomadic, because then there was obviously the split.
Yeah.
Everybody fragmented, and of course, as we do, we go with the masses, and the masses went towards Bot Sensei, and I was with the HDKI for a few years, and I wasn't ready for the HDKI. I was still quite unwell, and I have a lot of regrets for how that all kind of panned out, really, because I was given so much opportunity that I'm so grateful for, and I couldn't handle it, in all honesty, and I probably wasn't honest about it, because I just wanted to perform and please and do the best, and I'd found karate again, and just wanted it to take me into a better place. But I struggled and I suffered a little bit because I wasn't yet fixed. So I ran away, really, is what I did ultimately. Somebody from another association rang me one night, and I was vulnerable and stupid, and I said, oh yeah, okay, I'll come and join you then. But that I wasn't wanted to join that group. I was wanted to run away from the pressure I was feeling. Which was nobody's pressure except mine. I was just not well enough, and I probably didn't present my best self at the time, because I was trying to let everybody know I was okay and perform, like I say. So I have a lot of sadness about leaving the HDKI, but it's what I needed to do, because I was still healing.
But I mean, so you've been in these different, obviously along your karate journey, you've been in a few associations. What do you make? What do you make to all these? These different. As someone who's obviously in no associate. You're just your own body, as in you're just not in an association. So, what do you make to it all? Pretty much, of all these different associations and all the sort of nonsense that can go along with them. Again, not all, but
I'm incredibly open-minded, and I think different people will do different things for different reasons. I understand the tribal nature of the beast that is humans, and a need for us to group and gather with like-minded people. I think associations offer an enormous amount. Sometimes, I hope I'm not being insulting to anyone, I don't mean to be, but sometimes people of less experience, less standard, because you have some direction, you have some order, you have a leader, you have structure, and you have far greater opportunity, I think, within an organisation than you do by yourself. I think once you have an army of support as well. You have people in every direction that you can just reach out, put your hand in and say, I need to do this, I need to do that, can you help me with this? And there's usually always someone to do it. When you break away from that, you can feel incredibly lonely. It depends what you want at the time. For me, lonely's good right now, because it's given me the space to just be where I need to be for the minute until I grow. And I don't mean lonely in a way of feeling sorry for myself. I mean just being able to just be, so that I can not have to be too effortful about whatever it is I'm doing or thinking about doing.
There's no external pressure or anything like that.
No, exactly. Thank you for using the words. My brain's but
I mean, did you ever feel that it was that some of these associations are quite elitist? Do you feel, or?
Of course they are. They're trying to sell their seats, right?
Yeah.
They're trying to recruit people. They're trying to have members. If they don't appear to be the best, then I'm not going to be interested. You know, if the supermarkets are saying this is taste the difference, well, then I want it to taste different.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
don't want it to be the basic range. And you know, do you remember? I don't know if you're not as old as me, but one of the banks used to invite kids to join their banks, and they'd give you a stationery set, or they'd give you free
No, I
piggy
remember
banks.
like an advert or something like that. Yeah,
no.
yeah, yeah.
I joined all of them. I put a pound in every single one so I could get all the stuff. And you know, and you got to look a bit shiny. It's a bit like going to buy a car. Do you buy the one that's been waxed and polished, or do you buy the one that's covered in mud? It's all psychological, isn't it?
Yeah.
If
Yes.
you're telling people you're the best and we're the elite, we're the best, you know, and come and train with us and you will be the best, then we're suckers for it, really. We get, you know, it's like you see an advert on the TV, you buy the same fabric conditioner for 7 years, and you see a new one, and you find yourself in a supermarket picking up the one that was on the advert, and you've got no idea why. It's a bit of a subliminal message.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
I think the
consumerism.
cause and against. I personally think for the structure, for the opportunity for your students, for the opportunity for them, a good organisation is probably a good thing to do.
Yeah.
If you are plus 40 years into your karate journey like I am, and you just want a little bit of a quiet life for a moment, and you have enough arsenal in your bank to throw at your students and fulfill them, and then that's enough, then, you know, it's all good. But also, you know, John Gardner, there's a lot of good people doing a lot of good things by themselves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's.
Mick Cotton.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Like, I mean,
Yeah.
I think who was I talking about this with someone the other day, and we were saying that I think as nuts as the pandemic was, the good thing I think that came out of that was that people who are maybe in some, like, I just said it, like ourselves, like in the association we used to be in, and other people, other associations people have been in. I think people being online and teaching online and things, it opened a lot of people's eyes up to that. Yeah, that there is a great karateka out there that may have never been heard of, like Rick Houghton. I mean, I'd never heard of him until the pandemic and seeing about him, and then like seeing, you know, some of his seeing classes, and yeah, and it was just like, who is this guy? This is awesome. Like, you know, why am I, you know? So,
I love it because it swung the doors right open.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, it's like the music industry. You've got bands and solo singers all achieving things in their own right and being successful. But you walk into the local pub and you hear somebody sing that's just as good or sometimes better, but they've not got a platform.
yeah,
And the same thing is for karate. There's so many people hidden behind dojo doors
yeah.
that
Yeah.
nobody knew, but they were worthy. You know, they were good. They are good.
There's
Yeah.
so many people out there that are like worthy of like I don't know, just people knowing about them or seeing their karate. I mean, for me, like, thank God the Instagram algorithm kept pushing me John Gardner's like stuff. Otherwise, I wouldn't have, you know, contact. You know, it's one of those. You ask around, yeah, do you know John Gardner? Yeah, yeah. Have you met him? Yeah, yeah. Is this karate? You know?
And he's good.
Yes,
Yeah, he is.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah,
This is
and
our next generation karate teacher because we need them. We've had for years, for decades, we've had a few at
Yeah.
the top, and, you know, and then underneath those, mostly Japanese titled people, we then started getting like Aiden Trimble, you
Yeah.
know, and
Yeah.
people high up in the JKS, and then, you know, Scott appeared under that, and you know, and there's Richard Amos as well. There's all these people, but who's next?
yeah, yeah,
You know,
Yeah.
I'm excited for
Yeah.
who's next
Yeah.
because they are our next generation.
but
It's exciting
see,
times.
I've always I started to see it though, that in a lot of these associations that, you know, again, most likely down, again, I'll probably be quite cynical, but like possibly down to money or ego, perhaps, that you know, even I can say I've seen in the years that I've done karate, I've seen young very talented people either pushed down or forced out due to, you know, some things I can only speculate, others I can know of that just, you know, personality clashes even, you know, and you think I just feel like it's criminal, you know, because there's the amount of people that have probably walked away from karate as well that were super talented, you know, but due to higher ups in associations, you know, like are no longer doing it because, like you say, like people leave an association or something, and it can just feel like, well, there's no point doing that anymore. Then is there? You know, they can just like.
But I feel we're bang in the middle of something special.
I do think you're right there.
Yeah, I do.
The playing field is leveling out.
Yeah.
And I think we're recognising an opportunity for all now and not a few. You know, and I think something happened in karate where people were given permission to tread over the line. And whereas before we thought, no, it's only those people that teach, or no, you only if you're that grade you can do this.
Mm-hmm.
And then somebody said, you know what? Why can't I do it? Or what's different between me and that person? And we've just shifted up a gear, and we're evolving. Karate is evolving, and it's going to be quite magical because the platform's going to be flooded, and at the right time. Because as we lose our senior instructors, we've got this whole new breed racing forward to the line, and I'm excited about it.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. Certainly, like what the landscape looks like in the next 5-10 years, maybe even.
I hope it's many, not a few. I hope it's many.
Yeah,
And
definitely.
Maybe they'll be like the Avengers. Maybe they'll all come together.
Oh, brilliant! Yeah.
Party.
Yeah, that would be pretty cool.
It would. Yeah.
But no, it's. I don't know. I think some of the associations may suffer if they don't embrace the younger, you know, this younger generation coming forward. You know, certainly some I can see. You know, it's the mindset. I think the mindset of like some of the older guards got to change as well. There.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Winston Churchill had it right. So he was like, "United we stand, divided we fall." I think it was his work initially that started the bleed towards us joining Europe, and you know, we were a far more of a united force. And something similar could happen with karate. You know, stop fighting each other. Let's just somehow find a way for us all just to work together. And it's kind of happening because the younger breed amongst us are appearing to be more confident and a little bit more ballsy. And
it's having that thing of train with whoever you want to train with. If somebody inspires you, train with them. Don't like, again, if you're in an association, don't rag on people or try and give them a hard time because they've been inspired by someone, you know, been inspired by someone.
Destroying that person's ability to grow, aren't you?
And everyone else is as well. The students are with them as well.
Yeah.
And the whole club.
Yeah. I remember, like, I think we had John, you know, had John come teach, Stuart Amos, Matt Price, all people I'd like have sort of like been looking up to and been admiring their karate. I remember having a conversation with someone again, you know, like, oh, why have you had them to the dojo? And it was like, because they're really good, you know. Like,
why wouldn't we?
And why wouldn't you? We can learn something from them, and it was just like, in their mind, it was just totally alien. You know, it's like.
The fact of the day, at the end of the day, you can do what you want when you want with your money.
Yes,
exactly.
Yes, definitely.
As well, I wanted to. So, you know, when obviously through your karate journey, was there a certain point when you thought, you know, that you wanted to teach, or were you sort of thrust into teaching in any way, or it was a natural progression that you felt, you know, obviously with all your, you know, competition experience and success, that you felt that it was something to give back? Or?
Yeah, I think I definitely got to a point. I think I was probably around a knee dan, second dan. I'd probably been training. Well, I'll tell you when it was. It was 1990. 23 till I was 20. I just come back from a Europeans in Ireland, and I just thought, it's my time now. I've got, what was that, 93, 89, 20 years of karate under my belt. I've got enough now. I felt confident enough to do that. And I was really fortunate because every class had 50 to 70 people in it. It was still a bit of karate madness going on. It was great. But there was, even then, I can remember, given what you've just talked about, within my association, there was this dictator: you must not open your dojo within so many miles of another dojo. All this, that, and the other.
We have heard that as well religiously.
Yeah.
Dojo wars, and I just, when you're 20, you just think, I can't be bothered with that. It's just nonsense. So I did teach for a few years. Somebody said to me, it was women don't run dojos and all this, that, and the other, and probably they didn't back then and before then, because there was a time, of course, when women weren't even allowed to train. Many years ago. So 93, after I'd done about 20 years of training, come back from Europeans and decided I wanted to do a dojo. Good times, because dojo was filling up with 50 to 70 students each session, week in, week out. It was quite a lovely little side earner for me. It was probably the only time I've made proper money out of karate, to be honest. But at that time I was with the EKO, which is who I was with following the FSK, so following Aiden's group, the EKO, which gave me a proper slap in the face, because I'd been doing neat, tidy karate up until that point, and the EKO was a all styles.
Oh, okay.
Oh.
And it was proper rough and tumble. I had a bit of a shock to my system. I did my third dan with them, and it was like going to a backstreet Thailand scene fight. It was hilarious looking back. But also, what happened with them is I had a downgrade at my dojo, which the head instructor came down. Dave Sharkey was called. Proper hard nut. And I had somebody doing their first dan and somebody doing their second dan. And I expected Dave Sharkey just to turn up, pay my money, this, that, and the other. But a coach load of his students turned up. They all emptied out. They beat all my students up.
Oh, God.
Oh.
Got on the coach and they left again. And we were kind of just stood looking at each other and saying, what happened? What's just happened? But it was, it was a good fun experience. Quite comical now looking back. But yeah, it was a whole new experience for me, being in an all stars, and being on the receiving end of those all stars as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And with obviously moving into teaching, just obviously I'm going back a little bit, but it's when you were with the HDKI, I believe did you get to go and teach out in, was it Sweden?
Yeah, I went to Sweden and Norway and a few clubs around the UK. Just phenomenal experience, and like I say, I wish I had been better so that I could have enjoyed it more.
Yeah.
Because the young Chrissie would have loved that. That would have been everything she'd ever hoped to have tried to achieve. And it kind of started to validate my karate a little bit, because I have imposter syndrome like lots of other people do. I think my karate is rubbish. I think, who wants to stand in front of me and listen to what I've got to say? It's just a load of nonsense. And the only time that flips itself on the head, when you see that information being received in a really good way by people.
Yes.
And I think as well, you realise that nobody's really better than you. They're just doing it in a different way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's what I like, when we train with Scott Sensei a bit back, he says like, he is like the height, he is, like trying to teach someone like, say myself, that's 6'3", he says, you've got to find the way that you move, you move the way you move, he moves the way he moves. it was just interesting to hear that from
There's
someone.
nobody in the karate world that has helped me validate my karate better than Scott Sensei. Nobody in plus 40 years.
Yeah.
People can tell you you're good or say well done in a class, but there's just a different type of language that he used where it's not flattery. It's kind of sending, giving me opportunities to go and teach people, and people turning up to those events to train with you. That's where the validation comes through, and I wouldn't have got that had I never met him. So plus 4 decades plus of training to finally get that, it's quite a lovely gift as I step into older age where I hurt a whole lot more.
I know you touched on it as well about going to Japan and Okinawa and training. Had you been to Japan like before that at all?
No, it's another regret of mine. At 17, it was probably the only dream I ever had. But at that age, those opportunities weren't there for me then. As a woman, there was very few women still heading back. I don't know that it would have been possible. Dave Hazard offered me an opportunity. He said, I'll get you out there, I'll find you someone to stay with and you can go there. But I just wasn't grown up enough. I wasn't big enough or confident enough to have done it at the time. But had I, well, it just would have been amazing. I'm sure it would have. I probably would have got stuck out there somehow and just lived.
When you went over there with Scott Sensei, did it live up to sort of like your expectation?
Well, let me tell you what happened.
Please do.
Yeah.
I just started the menopause, which was fantastic.
Oh,
right.
I got over there. I had a chest infection. I had a raging sore throat. I went into a chemist and just asked for something. It must have been cocaine because I was on the ceiling after taking it. I'd never felt so well in my life. And that got me through it, but I was quite poorly, and so much so that I don't know if you've ever been or had a similar type of experience, but it was quite a lot of communal living.
right.
So
Right.
we were all kind of living with each other, and during the night my cough was so horrendous. I was so terrified of waking everybody up. I'd sneak out into the shower room
And just have a
I'd
good
just
cough.
try not to wake anybody up. I was probably all too drunk to wake up anyway. But, have a good old cough and then sneak back to the bedroom, try not to wake anybody up. But it was really hard, and I genuinely wished I'd been there. I was probably 46 at the time, 2018. I wish I'd been 20 years younger, but with my adult brain.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was quite hard training. We packed a lot into that trip, and again, I wish I'd been in a better place to appreciate it, because I still was growing out of where I'd been before. But we went to the Hoitzigan, which, just unbelievable. I
Yeah.
rolled around on that dojo floor, and I even sniffed between the floorboards in hopes that I would sniff up a bit of Nakayama at some point. It was a gift to be there, and strangely enough, one of my favourite classes over there was with Inaga Sensei, who strangely you put a picture up on social media with, and he just had something about him. There was a presence about that guy. I don't know. He felt like a Jedi to me, and
It sounds a bit like when everyone talks about Sensei Inoue
Yeah.
and stuff like that as
Yeah.
well.
it was different. He just had something about him. He had an edge of feeling a bit dangerous and not giving two monkeys about anybody. There with a little bit of swagger, and I wanted to, out of all the whole trip, I wanted to impress him. I wanted him to do something, and we had that night I mentioned to you where Scott Sensei stepped in and said, "Can we do some kata now, Sensei? We're half killing each other." I I haven't experienced it too much in my life, but I don't know if you've ever entered what they call flow state, where you're just in it. It's a bit like what's the film with Keanu Reeves where he's
Or the
Neo?
Matrix.
Matrix, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a bit
Yeah.
like Matrix. You just find yourself in this other world, and you're fighting for your life. And I was just come up in front of Tommy Butler Sensei, and everyone's got students, and
Yeah.
we were head to head, and he did the perfect Maigeri at the point. I would come in, I just went in to him, met him, grabbed his leg, swept him, took him down. He jumped up off the floor. Well, I don't know where I was, but I wasn't in the moment. I just shot off after him, put him in a stranglehold. And I looked over at Naga Sensei, and he smiled. He smiled and did like this big chuckle. And Tommy put his hands up like that, and I just let go. And then one of the girls said to me afterwards, "Chrissie, what were you effing thinking? You're really animal." And it's because I'd literally, we were just in it. We were just all in it. And I've always said, if you could have caught flow state in action on camera, it would have been present on that night, because we were all just like flying around like Chinese monks, really, that used to hover and do all sorts of things. It was all pure experience that was being exposed in that room. There's
Yeah,
no
I mean,
thought
Yeah.
of like,
Yeah, I mean, getting a chance to train in the Hoitzer must have been just...
again, it was just weird. I think it was surreal for me because I'd wanted to go there pretty much most of my life, and you never think you're going to go there, and then you are there, and you don't really appreciate it in the moment because I just couldn't believe I was there.
Yeah.
You know, even when we were training, we got to go back a couple of times, and I remember just not really being able to absorb it. It was strange. It was very much better on reflection. But even being in Tokyo, you know, because I'm a bit sensory and struggle with too much stimulation, we were stood in Tokyo. I can remember one day I stepped backwards and put my back against the wall because I looked up and all the lights on the buildings were going off. There were signs of sounds and smells, and some man walked past me wearing a bird cage. And then I looked to the right. I looked to the right, and there was life-size Super Mario's whizzing around the city, and I'm just like, "What's going on? I don't know what's happening." I thought I had LSD or something. I got back against the wall and took a breath, and then I got told off by Scott because we were late back to meet them. So I'm sorry.
Oh yeah, I mean, I'd still not managed to get over yet, but hopefully one day. I've got a good friend that lives over there and who's in the karate world, and it'd be good to try and get over there. But I think with myself having a young family, I think my wife may kill me if we don't all go over there as well. So
No, I get it. And do you know what? I think it's really important to recognise, isn't it, that we do have a life outside of karate, and that's okay.
yeah.
Because I think, you know, when I was growing up in karate, unless you did anything other than karate, you were seen as Satan's spawn or something, or not a true Buddha or whatever, you know. But there's many things that define. It's not just karate.
Absolutely.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
So where, you know, with where you are now, you know, where do you see, you know, where do you envisage your karate path taking you at the moment?
I don't know, in all honesty. I've set up the club. I'm testing it very gently. If the people want it, if the community want it, then I will serve it. And we'll see where it goes. I hadn't anticipated at this age what my body would feel like. I think I thought that as I started to grow out of my vocation, that karate could become a bigger thing in my life. But I don't know if you know or not, but I've got so many broken bones historically from motorbike accidents. I've broke my neck, my collarbone, my wrists, my feet, my ankle. I've broken all sorts of things. And as I get older, they remind me more that, you know, I've had a small brain injury from a motorbike accident. So there's many things that have stacked against my physical ability to do better at karate.
I imagine if you've got lots of pins and screws, certainly in the colder months, it must be quite quite
Well,
difficult.
they just all start calcifying,
Oh,
and you roll over at night, and everything wakes you up, and you just think, "Oh, what's happened?"
are you still motorbike riding? Is there?
No, the last crash I had, probably 20, 20 years ago, I decided to stop riding because I stopped bouncing quite so well.
Yeah. Oh, well, I wish you like, obviously every success with with the club and
Yeah.
yeah, your journey. It's good to speak to another a woman that's in karate.
Yeah, definitely.
It was the same speaking to Fran Charlton. We need the karate world needs more people like yourself out there champion karate and having a voice in karate.
Well, thanks to your platform, really, as things like this grow, it will multiply. It'll be a bit like a gremlin, won't it? We'll water it at midnight and they will start sprouting. And
Hopefully, I do.
Yeah,
I really
yeah.
do. I really do
Hope so.
hope it. What started out as just something through lockdown. I thought of to think that I just want to speak to the people who influenced me, and then it just started to it started to grow from there. But then again, having the blinkers taken off, coming out of an one association, you think there's so many people out there that I've heard of, or now people are telling me about, and I just think I just want to hear their story. I want to hear what they've got to hear what they've got to say.
If people have been around a while, they've got a few stories to tell.
Yeah, definitely.
Fun stories.
Yeah.
It's a bit like why we study history, because there's some good stuff back there and some stuff to learn from and take forward, maybe.
Well, if I'm ever up near Northumberland way, I will definitely give you a shout.
And same.
Come, come.
I've been there.
Train.
It's a nice area. You're down in Alnwick, aren't you? Are you down in Alnwick?
I'm a little bit north of Alnwick.
A little bit north.
Alnwick's where the dojo is. Yeah.
Beautiful place, really nice. I'd recommend it.
But I'll hand you over to Andy for his fun-filled questions.
This is all I'm here for, Andy. Don't let yourself down.
Well, I thought I didn't want to let you down. I put on my Bruce Lee T-shirt for you. So, diving straight into it. Question number 1: favorite kata.
I'm going to take one from the bottom and one from the top. So I love Heian Nidan.
Yeah.
And I love Nojishi Ho.
Excellent. Yeah, 2 good choices. Favorite kata for bunkai.
I quite like Nojishi Ho.
Yeah. Favorite kumite move.
Oromo.
Lovely.
Oh.
A bit of Irma
Yeah. If you could pick.
Skip to the side. And that.
Yeah. A little cheeky dart.
Yeah. Better than that tornado kick, isn't it?
Let me just tell you don't land so well after 50.
Can imagine not. So, from any era, 5-person kumite team, man, woman, anybody who you want, your ultimate team.
Your ultimate team.
Yeah, like the Avengers.
I'll go, obviously.
Yeah.
I'm not sure how you say his last name, but Raphael Aggie.
Okay.
Yeah. Peter Constantine, I take him.
Yeah.
And Dave Hazard, without a doubt.
Oh, definitely.
And, not necessarily a karate person, but probably I will take Dakota. Is she called MMA fighter?
Oh, I don't know if I know them.
Well, look her up. She'll kill everybody.
Okay. Yeah. Oh, okay.
She's got a 98% win rate, I think.
Oh, yeah. I'll definitely look them up.
Yeah. Have a look at her. Yeah. Same rules apply, but just kata team. So 3-person kata team.
I'm going to go at the front. And I'm going to take Paul Uren and Tommy Butler at the back.
Nice.
Okay. Is it just a 2-man team or is it?
No,
Oh, did you speak yourself? Sorry, I didn't hear. Oh,
yeah.
no. Oh,
Sensei leading the way.
yeah. Oh, excellent. Okay.
Put yourself down, Andy.
Oh, what will the viewers think? Sack him. Your favourite karate moment?
Karate move.
Moment.
Oh, moment.
Yeah.
I quite liked making Ananda smile in Okinawa. That was quite
Oh,
special.
brilliant. Best male competitor? Again, any era.
The balletic Wayne Otto, I guess.
Oh, yeah. So, okay. Best female competitor?
Because I've been on the end of so many of her hard hits. Molly Samuels for me.
Excellent. And the instructor who had the most lasting effect on you? Your favourite instructor?
I wasn't looking forward to this question.
Oh, okay. We could.
But for all the reasons. But I'm going to mention two people.
Okay.
I'm going to mention that probably ultimately changed my karate the most. One was Dave Hazard and Scott Langley Sensei, as they got my karate enormously.
Karate achievement.
Best
karate achievement. Yeah.
Being here, still doing it.
Brilliant.
And if I can stick one on the end, is always a bit of a deep question, but if you're trying to boil it down, I guess into a nutshell, like what does karate mean to you?
Breath, life, joy.
Yeah.
Everything that. I guess it's the oxygen in our blood, isn't it? When you've done it for such a long time.
No.
Yeah.
Well, Sensei, thank you ever so much
It's been brilliant.
For being on the podcast.
Thank you.
I really want to thank you for giving us the time.
Yeah.
And
thank you for the conversation. I've loved it. Thank you.
No worries.
Let me talk to you.